Very great guests today. Two very great guests. And the reason why they're great to me is because, and I had to have them on here, was because, first of all, you all know we do a food drive every Saturday at 1 p.m. in Mattapan, 47 Edgewater Drive. If you don't know, now you know. We feed up towards 75 to 100 families every week. But these two came through to the food drive. They seen what we was doing. And the first question they asked was, do y'all need any help with anything? And at that moment we didn't, but after they told me what their mission was, what they was all about, I thought it was important to bring them in so they can introduce themselves.
So I'm Catherine Vitale. I'm from Dorchester, born and raised, and I live in Codman Square now. And what we're doing right now, we do a lot. We do a lot of different things. So Sean and I have been activists for the past 3 years together. But right now, we are the state director and assistant state director of Blexit, Massachusetts chapter, which, you know, if anybody doesn't know what Blexit is, it's the largest conservative minority group in America. We kind of sometimes say it's what Black Lives Matter should have been.
Wow.
So it is in some ways a charity organization that we do have like charity type events, but it's more so for like educating and you know, bringing people out of like the mainstream ideology of how like politics and social issues go. And I mean, that's what we're doing. We're going to be, you know, we plan events, we sponsor other people's events, we do tabling, and we just kind of get into as many things as we can.
Yep, that's dope. That's dope. Definitely, you know, communication, educating people, and having that dialogue is very important. Something that we lost, where we just always hear from the, you know, the TV or the main news, you know, networks and stuff like that. We never really come together and figure it out our own. What about you, brother? What's your name and, you know, your mission?
Sean Nelson. I'm born and raised in Boston, but right now in Lower Roxbury, the Central Lines. Just like Catherine said, I've been an activist for the last 3 years. CNA, U.S. Marine Corps vet, gay, and we started our chapter back in May to start and, you know, educating a lot of the minorities in Boston, like you said, to start having those conversations, start doing your own research, and start listening to a lot of the mainstream narrative that, you know, is misleading a lot of people. Now you can't even have a simple conversation without someone sticking their middle finger up you, at you, or just cussing at you.
Yeah.
It's such a divide right now. You can't even have a simple conversation without someone yelling, screaming at you.
Yeah. People get very emotional these days and don't know how to have a civil conversation. So what's y'all mission though? What's y'all mission in the Massachusetts sector? What you doing? I know it's different states that also do the same thing you guys are doing.
Yeah, so there's 47 chapters for Blexit, and so they have like the 4 pillars, like their 4 primary issues that they want to improve on. So that one of them is school choice, advocating for school choice and educating people on why we need school choice, why it's important. And then they promoting the nuclear family, so putting emphasis on like marriage and the importance of families having 2 parents. And you know, there's like, we have stickers and pins and stuff that say families need fathers. You know, and like being independent of government, right, in all aspects. You know, when it comes to families getting off of welfare. I'm on welfare myself and Section 8, and that's the only reason I can even afford to live in Boston, because I'm a single parent.
Right.
And then mobilizing people to stand up for themselves and educating people on their rights, which is a huge thing, because if you don't know your rights, you don't have any.
Right.
And I learned that the hard way. Most people learn that the hard way. So that's a huge thing. And then kind of like advocating and promoting free enterprise and entrepreneurship, which again, separating people from being dependent on the government. Because especially in Boston, you see all of these local like black-owned businesses all over the place popping up, and they all have something in common. It's that they're getting some type of government funding to open their businesses. So are they really black-owned businesses? They're kind of subsidized. So what's going to happen to them if they ever piss anybody off? Or if they don't follow all the rules and regulations of the government? They might lose their business.
Right. Which a lot of people did a couple of 4 years ago. So you didn't follow our rules, we will shut you up, we'll shut your business down, we'll fine you, And it's like, where are those businesses now? I remember like in Dudley Square, there was an herbal shop. A lot of black people went in there to get that natural herbs, lotions. She never came back after the pandemic.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's sad to say because, you know, in the early 80s and different 70s, different years, you know, a lot of the black businesses was up and down, doing a lot of different areas in Boston and stuff like that. But now when you see the black businesses or the minority-owned businesses, they're not totally people that actually come from here or was born here. They're people from all different places that come here and they're just being empowered somehow, somewhere. So I definitely see it. So how could we bring that back? Like, what do you think, you know, will bring back, you know, people who actually live here to own businesses and to flourish and to actually, you know, be able to impact their neighbors? Because the people who own businesses, when they get the resources and the money, they're not going to use the money here because they don't live here, they don't have families here more than likely. So how can we get that?
Well, the most important part is educating people.
That's right.
Until people understand what's actually going on, we don't have a chance.
Right.
So, I mean, like wearing this hat, I'm not really a hat person, but I wear this hat out in public because optics matter. Because somebody might stop to say something, or somebody might take a second thought at something that I've said because I'm wearing this hat. You know, so part of Blexit is not necessarily taking people from the Democratic Party and bringing them to the Republican Party, although a lot of the times that's what it seems like we're doing. And that would be a good thing in Massachusetts because we're completely Democratic in Massachusetts. So the only way to get some type of balance is to go all the way the other way, right? So I don't believe in the two-party system. I think they're all liars and cheats, and we can't trust any of them. So, but they've programmed us to think that the line of division is a vertical line, you know, like left and right, black and white, gay and straight, all of that, pro-abortion, pro-life, anti-gun, pro-gun, whatever. And the line of division is actually horizontal. It's the very, very wealthy,
Right.
and then the rest of us.
And the poor.
So until we can get people educated, there's nowhere to go from here.
Right.
And we've been working at that in Boston for at least 2 years now, and it's been extremely difficult.
So Blexit isn't Democrat or Republican?
No, so it's a
It's just
501c3.
Information, like just...
Yeah.
It's conservative, but it's like, it's very open, and you don't have to be a conservative.
Okay.
You can be a patriot, you can have, you know, common sense. Like, I see something going wrong in my community with my government, and it gives you a forum to kind of speak out.
Okay.
You know, like, for example, I know people, like, I'm not necessarily a conservative or Republican, but you see issues that are going on because, you know, you have common sense. Now you have a group that you can come into and feel welcome, and we can address these issues because we don't always agree about everything, but we come together for the greater good to, like, okay, it could be about religion. I'm not religious, so I have nothing against that. So if she brings me something religious, okay, I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to say probably no, but I'll still back you up. It's like, it's a nice little.
That's important.
Yeah, it's a nice little welcoming community to come into.
Yeah, that's good. That's dope. I like that. So, you born and raised in Boston?
Born and raised at Mass General Hospital.
What part of the city you live in?
Right now I live in like Uppers Corner, but it's, you know, Uppers Corner, Lower Roxbury. Like you're right there at the borderline of like South Bay Mall, South Boston, Uppers Corner, Four Corners. So basically right there off of Dudley Street where the Salvation Army's rec center is.
So what is your mission with having the Trump, you know, support and stuff like that? I know you said you're not into like the politics or either side like that. So what is your mission with, you know, having the, you know, the hat or the, you know, supporting that or making it be seen? Because a lot of people, sometimes they're even afraid to show what they're supporting, you know?
That's the point. It's to show I'm black. I'm wearing this. I'm bringing the narrative like, oh, black people don't vote for Trump. That's totally a lie. There's multiple people who are black who I've seen reels, even myself, seeing the exact same thing. These people have not done anything for us for the last 4 years. And every election you hear the same thing from black people. They don't do nothing for us. They don't do nothing for us. Now you have a candidate that does something for you, but then the other side smears them. So a lot of people are too scared to like say, oh, I support Trump. Sometimes when we do standouts for stuff that's controversial in Massachusetts, people are too scared, but they'll give us the hidden thumbs up. So you think the way we do, but you're too scared that someone's going to see you and then come and bother you and bully you into silence. And we just don't do that. There's a lot of people who gave us a thumbs up, black, white, Asian, gay, straight, all kinds of people. Now they see somebody like me and her standing up and not having that fear. So it gives them the courage to stand up for themselves and say, hey, you know what? I'll stand up with Trump. People come out with us. We don't care. You can give us the middle finger. We're going to be still here today, tomorrow, and every single day. So it's basically encouraging people to stand up. It just takes one person to encourage other people to do something.
Have either one of you ever dealt with racism living in Boston? You know, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, you had the busing. Well, I don't know your guys' ages, but you know, we had the busing issues. We had, you know, some neighborhoods didn't really mingle. Today, it's not really like that as much. You know, you go whatever neighborhood you want to without much fear. Most neighborhoods as it is. But have you guys ever dealt with any of that in the past?
So, I have a couple things to say about that. So, first of all, I'm 34, so I was born in 90. So I wasn't there for the busing and all that, but I have spoken about it because we both ran for Boston City Council last year. So we've talked about many issues publicly, even outside of like activism. We've talked about things about campaigning. And so, if I were there back then, I would have been against busing. I'm against busing now. I think we should actually eliminate buses. Because the issue at hand was that the black parents wanted better schools and better teachers and better conditions in schools for their kids. The government solution to that was forced segregation. How is that a solution? Why didn't they just give the black parents better schools and better conditions for their kids? Anytime the government forces something on the people, it doesn't matter what it is, it's gonna be a problem. You know, and I don't take any problem with the elected officials back then or anybody who was you know, involved in making the decisions back then. I take problem with the parents because you knew what you were putting your kid into when you put them on that bus. Why would you put your child in that situation where people are throwing rocks at buses and everything else, and you're gonna blame the government and the racists for that? You put your kid in that situation. If you know your kid is going into a racist part of the city where people are throwing rocks and your kid could get hurt, why would you send them?
That's a very, very good question.
I mean, so, you know, people like to say that I'm racist because I have stances like that. And I mean, I homeschool my kids. And like I said, I'm on welfare. I'm unemployed. So if anybody knows anything about how hard it is to have your kids 24/7 and be homeschooling, it's me. You know, I don't have an income and I struggle financially because I will not put my kids into those schools. And so then, you know, on the other side of that, I grew up in Dorchester. I went to Hyde Park High. I was one of the only white kids in my class. So, and in my neighborhood.
That was challenging for you.
So it wasn't really challenging for me, but I wasn't always like everybody's best friend. You know, I got made fun of because I was one of the very few white kids in the school. And
did you ever get beat up or attacked or anything?
No, because once I went to Hyde Park, I was like done with school. Basically, I went to Boston Latin, failed out of there because of my attendance. So then I only went to Hyde Park High for a year and a couple weeks. I dropped out in 10th grade. So none of that. I mean, I've been mugged on the street by groups of black men. So there's that on Dorchester Ave twice and robbed. But that doesn't make me hate black people. You know, that was just two unfortunate situations that happened to me. But I mean, racism can go either way, and we're programmed and brainwashed into thinking that it can only go one way. You know?
What about you? You ever dealt with anything in your past?
No, honestly, I'm 45, so I'm older than her. I was born in like 78. And I've mostly been like in a mixed neighborhood, like white, black, Latino, Cape Verdean. So it was like, I didn't really witness it. So it's like I honestly haven't. I've literally am a pedestrian, so I've literally walked all of the neighborhoods: JP, Mattapan, North End, Charlestown, and actually have never been bothered by anybody.
That's good.
South End, everywhere. It's never been, you know, bothered from nowhere. So I think it's like when you hear people like some of the elected officials saying Boston is racist, it's like stop playing up to the race card and calling this divide, because it's like every day you get off social media, I see so many people of different ethnicities, different colors, ages, and sizes intermixing with people like not even a problem.
So do you think it's something where the the people, the wealthy are like almost playing a game and keeping the poor in this battle,
Yes.
fighting
That's
each
exactly
other,
what it is.
Exactly what it is.
racism, and since we're on the bottom and we're poor, like we're upset, we're stressed,
Yeah.
like we
Yeah.
see each other as the enemy because that's what has been put out there in the world. I know when you go to other places and you travel other places in the world, some people have never even dealt with racism before
Right.
and stuff.
Well, and to be fair, they have their own racism, but it's usually based off like how you were raised, what kind of group you're with.
Mm.
Every country has their racism. It's just like you can be just the same, you can be a color, but because you were raised differently, maybe you're a different part of a tribe, maybe a different kind of religion, there's all kinds of like some form of bigotry or hatred based off two people the exact same color, but you from this corner of the country, and I'm on this other side of the country. So sometimes you have that conflict. So racism, this hatred, is a human factor. So it's not just necessarily all about the skin color, how they manufacture it here.
Right.
And media plays a huge part.
You're right. Because if you think about, like probably during like Obama's time in office, you didn't really have people even bringing up racism, and it wasn't until like you know, Donald Trump got into the situation, and it's like you amped it up, and then it's like when he got into there, it was just like you have women versus men, gays versus straights, black versus whites. Now you got homosexual versus heterosexual. Now you have transsexuals versus, I guess, regular people. There's always something there that's being manufactured.
Right.
It's just like you didn't have this before some period of time.
Wow.
And it was just like everyone's really fighting each other, and then you have these advocates that show up. Yeah, women's rights, and you ask them the basic questions. Well, what rights do women have that? What rights do women have that they don't have compared to men? It's like they can't answer it. And it's something like, they get paid more. It's like that's not true. You look at the data, you look at the facts. Women take more time off than men. They take time off to be with their children. They're completely structured different from men. Since I've been in the working world, I work way more hours than my female counterparts. I had a female at my medical center, and it's just like, Sean, how do you make all this money? Because I work basically about 64 hours a week when they have time at that time. She even tried it one week, and she was like, hell no. I did 64 hours in that whole week. I do not know how in the hell you do it. This is the last time I'm ever doing it. But it was like, there was nothing for me.
Wow, yep. Have any of you ever been starving, stomach touching, ribs hurting,
Like this, like what, sickness?
hungry? Can you remember a point in your life ever where you just been hungry, didn't have much, peanut butter without the jelly, bread without the butter?
Well, I mean, I am on welfare
Yeah,
and food
yeah.
stamps and Section 8, so I'm not doing too great financially right now, but before I got my Section 8, I was in a homeless shelter with my kids for 14 months, and that was my third time being in a homeless shelter with my kids, who are just 10 and 8 now. So, I mean, I've been struggling with homelessness for, about 14 years. So.
And that's for myself. I've been blessed. I mean, I've had both my parents were together up to a certain point. My dad moved out, but he moved only a few blocks. Let me and my mother need something, pick up that phone. He got it done. And they instilled like this working situation in myself. Like when my first job was at 13, worked at McDonald's in the old Boston Garden, so I knew how to go work. I worked at the Toys R Us that used to be in the South Bay Mall. And I just always worked. And like after I got out of the military, I had 3 jobs for about 3 years, and I was on my side hustle, always making that money. So I always had money in the bank. So I was always like basically blessed.
That's good. That's a blessing, man. That's a blessing. Cause when I ask you, sometimes the type of work we do, or we get that drive from sometimes our past, or having this certain type of traumas or issues, or what I'm saying? Have you guys ever dealt with any trauma in the past that you feel like, gave you that drive to be where you're at or doing some of the work you're doing? And
Well, I mean, the reason I became an activist and got involved in doing political things is because DCF took my kids away in 2018 for 5 months.
Wow.
And it was the most corrupt situation I've ever seen in my life. And then I found out, and that traumatized my whole family. My kid's father at the time was 2 years clean from heroin. And then after that 5 months, he relapsed and left.
Wow.
So, and that's when we went into that last homeless shelter. So, DCF tore apart my family, basically.
Wow.
And traumatized my kids. They were 4 and 2 at the time. And I mean, that's why I started getting involved. And basically why I stopped working, because I was working. I was a Dunkin' Donuts manager for 14 years. And then come 2020, I was working 7 days a week. I was working at a home health agency, and I was working at a coffee shop on the weekends. And I lost both of those jobs because of politics and COVID restrictions.
Wow.
So I was like, well, I guess the government's just going to pay me to fight them now.
Right. Damn, that's a tough one. It don't matter what color you are or anything like that. You know, we all going through similar struggles, similar things we're trying to get over. It don't matter who you voting for. Well, it does matter, but we're all still going through the same issues, you know what I'm saying, similar issues. Somebody that's going through a struggle right now, similar to what you were going through, what is something you could say to them that could possibly, you know, give them that second push, keep them positive, keep them on their feet?
About DCF?
No, just about, just a
homelessness?
message. Yeah, it could be about that, yeah. Any message you like to give, any message to somebody out there who may be going through something you went through or
Well,
something.
I always tell people that you need to know your rights. If you don't know your rights, you don't have any. Because there's nothing to assert if you don't know how and what to assert.
Right.
So the reason why they were able to get my kids that time was because I wasn't aware of my rights. Because they have come back and they have tried to take my kids again since then. And they didn't succeed because I knew my rights.
Wow.
And I don't really trust lawyers. So when I do end up in court, for the past couple times, I've represented myself. Because lawyers are officers of the court.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, they have a license on the line. Are they really going to fight for you the way you need somebody to fight for you? Probably not. You know, and all of these systems are designed to make us think that we're not smart enough, we're not good enough, we don't have enough money to beat the system or to win or whatever, but it's all lies. It's all BS.
Yep. So, was it true that a black man started the Republican Party?
I have no idea.
No?
No, it was abolitionists, basically white guys, and then they turned into the Republican Party, and a lot of the free slaves became Republicans.
Right. Yeah. And so, what made you think that the people switched over? Like, because for now, like, the Democrats have owned the poor people's vote.
Well, I think I was watching PragerU was a professor, I can't remember her name. She was basically doing civil rights movement. A lot of them switched over to becoming Republicans and talking about, I forget what senator said about, by another 200 years, I'm going to have all these N-words.
Yep.
He
was the president.
Yeah, he was a president.
Right.
And I'm bad at names, but he said, I'm going to have all these N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years.
Right.
So basically, it's just like, they became a lot more softer. We're not getting taught a lot of the history in schools. If realize they'll simply say, well, Republicans are racist, but let's go with the Democrats' history. You won't hear anyone talking about it was the Democrats that would have kept slavery going. It was the Democrats that had Jim Crow going along. It was the Democrats during Jim Crow that created the KKK. It was the Democrats that fought against the civil rights movement. It was the Democrats that implemented welfare to a point where black fathers couldn't be in the home. All these issues that you look at the Democrats, and we fall for because they get people that look like me and you to come into the neighborhoods and say, hi, how you doing? It's just like what Malcolm says. You have the black parakeets for these corporations, these government agencies. Like, oh, we're here to help you, but it's just like, every single year, every election, your streets, your neighborhoods look run down, but you go to the white neighborhoods where they're active in their communities, they're active in their, civil engagement. They have town hall meetings, they assert their authority, they use their money properly, where we're all kind of scattered. Just to get someone to come to a function about their neighborhoods, you got to offer free food and gifts and prizes. Just for them to show up.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. People don't really believe in politics anymore in these poor neighborhoods.
They don't, because it's like you get so beaten down, it's like nothing happens, I keep running my mouth, so that you feel like the easiest way to give up, and it's like you giving up, you're just allowing someone else to make the decisions for you.
So what about, what's the other guy's name who's running for president, the black guy with the afro, what's his name again, Professor? He's running for
We was
president.
just talking about
Right.
it too.
I forgot his name.
The black guy with the afro.
Yeah, but he's running for president right now.
For a party?
He's running for
Yeah, independent.
independent party.
Oh, that's what
So basically, it's Trump, Kamala, and him who's getting attention right now. Obviously, he's not getting attention in the mainstream, but if you go on YouTube and stuff.
Cornel West.
Cornel West, right,
Oh.
right. So how do you know Cornel West?
Alright,
No.
so the stage.
Okay.
I didn't know he was even in the race.
Yeah, he's running. He has a lot of grassroots.
Oh, okay, I know who he is
Yeah.
now.
Grassroots people following him. Grassroots people,
For the People's Party.
for the People's Party. Yep.
That's the name of the party.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, well,
Professor at Harvard University. Well, there you go.
for my,
Oh, yeah.
for my issue, what got me being an activist was like I was working during COVID as a certified nursing assistant, so I was there day one when they were going through all of the questioning it and all this stuff, and then being in a hospital setting, nothing made sense.
Right.
So I asked her a question. I remember the first day my unit transformed into a COVID unit, and this is basic science from high school. I walked down, I opened the door to the unit. All the patients' doors are open. And this is a respiratory disease, so why are the doors closed? Or at least partially closed.
Wow.
I was just observing, like, why are all these doors open? Went to my manager, brought that up. It's like, I don't know, she couldn't answer the question. It wasn't until one of the good doctors came in at night with his rounds through, and he's like, and he talked to the overnight supervisor, why are all these doors open? And then the next day, the doors were all closed. Well, they actually closed the door partially and then replaced them with windows. It just didn't make sense, but then when Biden got into office, they were all talking about, well, I'm not taking the vaccine, the special shot, because it's in Trump's hands, I don't trust the government, so everyone who was like me saying, like, I don't trust the government, I don't take medicines that quickly, I wait and see till all the data and all the side effects are out. But then when he got it, he forced people to go take it. And then I was on ground zero. These politicians were at home getting paid.
Yep.
I sacrificed my time, like I said, days where I thought I was gonna go sleep in my bed, I'm getting a phone call on the train, can you come